I don't know if you've like listened to my first project, Life's a Bitch, but I talk about the wizard in that. And like the wizard is kind of meant to be that person, like meant to be this higher, like all-knowing version of yourself that you're not quite, that you probably will never get to be that person while you're in this physical realm on this earth, but just trying to take the messages and learn, you know, learn what you can from him.
So do you walk around with like do you think about that a lot? That idea of like a wizard?
Kind of, yeah. I think it was just like a nice little way to package that feeling of of like a higher power, you know, whether that's like your higher self or a god or the universe or some kind of like...
Do you think it was more like a comfort thing than a creativity thing?
Possibly, yeah. Maybe it just made it seem a bit more close to home.
Yeah.
Added a bit of like fantastical flair to it.
Fantastical flair.
Fantastical flair.
Is that how you would describe yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna copyright that that phrase as well.
Double F.
Okay, yeah.
Are you a big overthinker?
Yes. I go through phases. I go through phases for sure. I think
of overthinking.
Yeah. The more busy and focused and just a bit tunnel vision I am, I overthink less. But as I said, you know, because I think about stuff like the universe all the time and the meaning of all of it, and you know, just like constantly trying to break out of the matrix, and that just messes with your head sometimes, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely, like, I know I've got little ways to avoid that, you know. I know exercise really helps me to not do that. I definitely have like a tendency inbuilt in my genes to like reach for alcohol or something, you know, stuff like that. But the thing is, like, I was taught as a child, like through like my own like dad's experiences with addiction and all of that. He's very blunt and very honest from a young age about, like, you know, when you have a parent that's like that, like often the child, like, you know, genetically and through all the like environmental factors that come with having a, you know, a parent in that situation. So always just super aware of that as well, and just to make sure that I don't get lost in that. And because I think a lot of the time people do that kind of stuff to just stop the noise, you know?
Yeah.
And I think for me it's just noise, it's just constant noise basically, which is good in some way. Like, you know, it means that when I kind of tap into that little flow state, there's just like all these different voices telling me like, yeah, this, that, and all the ideas are there. But then it kind of narrows down into this really nice little river. But then also sometimes it's just a lot. But I think it comes with its pros and cons, you know. I think being an overthinker often means that you think about detail and you care, and having an obsessive nature, I think, is to do with creativity anyway, is kind of necessary sometimes. It's the thing that like makes you see through projects when you're just like, oh, I've heard this shit a million times. Like, it's that thing that gets you over that line sometimes, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't change it, to be honest. Like, you know, I wouldn't, yeah, so.
Zin's disappearance. A, incredible. Brilliant work.
Thank you very much.
B, how long did that take?
Too long.
Because you can tell so much effort's been put into it, and like obviously that plays out, but I know that you produce everything as well, so like,
yeah.
Gosh, like, you have a lot of fucking hats to wear. Yeah,
that was a lot of hats, that one, because it was made, I made most of it in COVID. Like, I wrote basically all of it in COVID, yeah. Okay. It took ages, and I think going back to the whole kind of like obsessive nature, yeah, I mean, I was like, I know how I want it to sound, like I know how I want the mixes to sound, so let me just mix it myself, and like I'll learn, you know, as I go. And obviously it took long, and I was mixing it in my untreated room on like some old KRKs, but I think there was like a charm in that as well, and I think I've learned so much from that process that even now, that obviously that project took ages to do, but I feel like it's enabled me to now, I don't know, it's in like being a bit too obsessive on that, it's kind of now allowed me to understand how to be just really surrendering myself to it and letting go, especially in the writing lyrics process. Because I feel like with that, I try and control the outcome sometimes too much, and that is just you're not being 100% authentic when you're trying to control the outcome. Like, it doesn't mean you can't like just write and then come back and edit and stuff. but just really trying to allow it, like the process should be easy, you know, and especially with writing lyrics, like I find it hard sometimes, and I think that's a mixture between that being a discipline that I came to later, caring about what people are going to think about it, like, you know, the insecurities. It's very exposing as well, you know, whereas like when I've been used to playing like piano on stage or like, right, I'm not like, obviously I'm in it in the sense that I'm expressing a certain part of me, but you get to hide behind it a little bit, you know. So
and you're not, it doesn't feel like you're kind of opening up your diary.
Exactly.
It feels like there is like that mask you can put on of the music itself.
Defo.
Do you struggle with like self-doubt and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think like every artist does, surely. I mean, even if they appear to not be, I think you do. And I think that is a whole, it's just important to, I think a good dose of it is good. Sometimes it keeps, as I said before, like keeps your ego in check. I think inflated egos can jeopardize the art, if I'm honest. And, you know, everyone has one, and that's fine, obviously. But I think when it gets to, when you believe your own legend too much, I think you don't check yourself sometimes, you know, because like everyone creates shit every now and again. Like, you know, sometimes I'll write a verse, come back to it and be like, that is actually terrible. What on earth are you doing? But that's cool and that's nice, but I just wouldn't want to get to a position. So a bit of it's good for sure. Obviously the danger is like caring so much about the end result, thinking about what people are going to think too much. But yes, I definitely do have it. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming stargazing with me.
Thank you for having me to stargaze.
Really appreciate it. Yeah.